So, hey everybody, what's up? I'm here with my pals, Melody and Clint from State Parkers, which is one of my favorite YouTube channel shows.
Wow, thank you.
And these guys are pretty awesome. They go out to parks around the state of Texas and show you their experiences. They got this amazing YouTube channel with a bunch of followers. Check this out. Did you know all the music in their video is done by them? Written, produced, recorded. They do all their own work. It's pretty awesome.
Sometimes we fake it till we make it.
There you go.
But we typically try as hard as we can to make it.
That's right.
Well, thanks for joining me in the Cher T-Mobile. I was able to catch them off the hiking trail here, and we took a little pizza rest stop. So I wanted to dive right into this, you guys. Can you tell me, you're playing this original music, you're out in the parks, you're doing these recordings. How did this all get started?
Well, I'll be quite honest with you. We were together for 3 or 4 years before we touched base with any of this hiking, camping stuff.
True.
And we had gotten to a point in our lives where we were basically very dissatisfied with the way things were going. We couldn't find the jobs we wanted. We weren't able to find the town that we wanted to live in comfortably. And I was kind of coming off of a rock and roll lifestyle, so I had made some common mistakes that rock and rollers make. And one day we said, you know what, we're sick of this mess. We need to do something a little bit more adventurous, and we need to sort of advance our horizons a little bit. So I jumped in the car with Melody and I drove her out to Enchanted Rock.
Finally. I say finally because he'd been talking about Enchanted Rock since we got together.
My friends and I used to spend evenings out there, looking at the Milky Way back before the light pollution had gotten a little worse than it is now. And so we drove 2 hours out to Fredericksburg, Texas, and we went to Enchanted Rock.
Yep.
When we pulled into that parking lot, I knew what to expect. I'd been there before, but she hadn't. And anyone who has never pulled into the parking lot and looked up at a 465-foot molten granite petrified fire dome, they're going to have an expression on their face like this. And that's what she had, and right at that very, very moment is when I knew we were onto something better. And so
I knew because we got to that rock and we were climbing all over, kind of climbing all over it and whatnot. And I was butt scooting, like everything. And I was so aggravated with myself because I just wanted to stand up and run around and do all this stuff. At the time I was 200 pounds.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And just not fit, not in shape. We
I
didn't
wasn't
have the
in the best
water
shape I've ever been in myself.
And at one point I think I looked at him and I was like, so why aren't we doing this all the time?
Cha-ching, light bulb.
Yeah.
Moment, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, I landed a job at an outdoor shop and started becoming a salesman because I finally found a niche. I had worked in guitar shops before and technology stores, but I found this element that was like calling to me, and it made me feel so at home with nature because I got to talk to people every day about what they were buying so that they could enhance their outdoor experience. It got me really motivated, and I got a lot of ideas, and it basically turned us into obsessive compulsive outdoorsy people to the point where we were literally spending no less than 2 nights in a tent or a hammock every week.
Wow.
And that went on for a couple years.
That's a big commitment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Pace Bend was one of the biggest
Paceman
contributors
Park,
to
out there in
that.
Spicewood.
That's where we learned how to. We we cooked a pizza on a grill out there.
Okay.
Yeah. We tried. We were like, what can we do?
We kind of got it there.
And if you haven't seen their show yet, I hope when you guys are done watching this, you will go. We'll put a little link in there so you can click on it for the State Parker show. But some of the stuff these folks cook out in the out at the campsite is better than I cook at my house. Hello, you guys are shaming me. It's amazing.
There's something about a grill that has the grease and the soot from the previous camper on it. It cooks it into your food. No, I'm just kidding. we do like to scrape that stuff off now and then, but a lot of times we'll take foil and we'll just make. We came up with one called Camp Beef Mash. That was like a layer of bacon on the bottom to keep it from sticking, and then you had sliced potatoes, and then you put cheese, and then you put another layer of bacon, and another
Don't forget
layer,
the hamburger meat.
and then hamburger meat, and then another layer of sliced potatoes, and it's stacked up like this, and we covered up and we cooked it, and it was like one of the best dishes we've ever had, and it's so crude, but then thanks to Facebook, we came across this thing called bacon sushi, which
wow,
that's been a hit for us as well.
I don't know if you've seen that episode. We take a friend of ours, Chris Holtkamp, out to Guadalupe.
We met him out there, actually.
We took him on a strenuous hike that day. So strenuous that he actually got washed away by the river.
Oh
We
my
almost
goodness.
lost you, Chris. We almost lost him in the river.
So to make up
wow.
for it, I made him bacon sushi, and I think we killed that in like
Oh, it was quick.
0.5 seconds.
Because we sprinkled Doritos over the top.
They're gonna say deodorant. I was
Deodorant.
like, what?
But it's not sushi at all. It's bacon, beef, bacon, cheese, and it's what it sounds like. It's really
It's not raw. I know sushi is raw, but this is not raw. Just want to clarify.
Just looks like sushi.
Yeah,
Right.
But nowadays we get into the filming and hiking so much, our camp meals are becoming a little bit thinned out just because we're so tired by the end of the day from doing what we do that we really just want to throw some Chef Boyardee on there and maybe a canned ham. And but it depends on how we're feeling. It also depends on the environment we're in.
True.
And also, for you guys, if you're new to the show, State Parkers, also, you'll see scenes where the two of these guys are walking down a trail. But just so you know, they're the film crew. They're the musicians or the editing crew, the film crew, the hosts, the scouts, everything. Which leads me to another question for you guys.
Yeah.
You are creating your own music for the show.
Right.
Were you so Clint mentioned he did music before this show came about. Had you done music before, or is this
So,
something that came from the
I
show?
have been in music since I was 9 years old.
Okay.
That is playing a flute, singing in the choir, but needless to say, I've been writing lyrics since I've learned how to write, I feel like. And I can read music like a champ, which makes it a lot easier to actually sit down and write music, because when it comes time to do that, I look at him, I say, what notes? He said, use, I don't know, off the top of my head,
In the scale of A,
CFG
D,
or
G,
something
B,
like that. And I'm
anything
like,
in between, yeah.
got it.
Knock it out.
So, yeah, since I was
So,
9 years old, I've been in
On
in
occasion,
music.
we'll come up with a little thing that we like to call music roulette.
Ooh, it's fun.
And we've actually ended up with a couple songs because of that. And basically what we do is we go into whatever music creation software we're using. In this situation is Cubase.
Okay.
I will blindly pick a random instrument, and it'll be her job to start a song with that instrument.
Oh,
And
wow.
and then once she lays down a track, then it's her turn to blindly pick an instrument, usually MIDI, and I will then try to create something to accompany what she did, and we'll do that
Just
back
keep
and,
going
forth
back and forth.
until we think we've got a song, and we'll edit it together. And on if it has to be changed a little bit, we'll do it. But it's really fun to try it that way. It doesn't always work, though. It doesn't always work. It's a luck thing.
So are you creating these songs by watching the video reel first, or are you creating the songs and then sliding them in where
That's
you
a
think they
really,
fit?
really good question.
So I feel like for the most part, seriously, for the most part, we create music and then fit it in. But there's been a couple of times.
There'll be moments when, like, we have a backlog, right?
Okay.
We have 50 or 60 recordings that we could use, but it's not always appropriate for the mood we're trying to set. There'll be times when I'll be sitting there editing and I'll see a scene, or I'll have something and I'll be like, man, I'm just kind of burnt on playing the same songs over and over again in these videos. And I'll just drop out of the editing software for just a minute, jump on the MIDI keyboard and make a little interlude just for that moment, and then I'll throw it in there, and then later on we'll go back and kind of finalize that and use it again. It's an always changing process.
Yeah.
Nothing's set in stone. We don't have a formula.
Okay.
I guess we might have a formula, but we don't intend to.
We have a sound.
We do have a
We
signature
do have a sound. Like if you were to go through and listen to everything, if you were to hear it again, you'd be like, State Parkers, where are you at right now?
It does kind of sound like us, but...
So it sounds like this all came doing the videos when your YouTube channel, and then the way your music's fitting into your shows. It sounds to me like this happened organically.
It did. And it's also kind of prophetic. The very first video that Melody and I ever made together was a full-blown rock music video.
Oh, yeah.
No way!
Oh,
is
we
this
are-
on the YouTube channel?
Yes, it is.
It
Yes,
is.
it is.
We'll be adding a link to
Look
that
at
on
the
our
link
Facebook
below.
page. Yeah.
The song is called I Had Nothing. We did this in 2009, and we traveled across the coast of North Carolina.
Wow.
And found clips, and we did a little bit of that vocal sync thing where she would like walk down the street with earbuds in and sing to it, and so we cut it together later.
Wow.
Rock and roll.
Don't get any ideas, you guys. I'm not getting that fancy.
We had no idea
Yeah.
what we were doing, but
Yeah.
it turns out
Wow.
it's actually a watchable video,
It
and the
is.
song is actually presentable, and so we're kind of proud of it.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's again, I Had Nothing, and our band back in the day, if we were gonna have a band, would have been called Half, 50-50.
50-50.
Oh, I like that.
So, yeah, we were actually, I mean, we're true blue rock and rollers at heart.
Yeah.
Seriously. I know
I'm
listening
a
to our
90s rocker.
songs,
I'm a 90s rocker.
they're binky bonky, but it's because we're hiking to them. Like, you're not going to hike to, you know, so.
No, but according to some of the guys from Adventure Archives, that Dynacomp Delight song I have would make for great driving video
Oh,
music.
that,
So I
now
might-
driving video, yes.
I might have to do that.
Yeah.
And by the way, I've seen Clint before. I played a show with one of my band's Firewomen over at Dozen Street. Shout out to Shields, to Nathan and Christian. And I saw Clint get up there. Was it Evening Optimist?
Yeah.
Is that,
Yes,
yeah. I
yes,
saw him
that's
get
my
up there and
boys.
sing. Pretty good singer
Yeah.
too. So maybe he'll add some vocals.
That's Robert Becker, Tate Farrar, Brandon Edward Elizondo, and Chris Reyna.
We love you guys, by the way.
All Austin
Mwah.
legends. They've all
Mwah.
been in bands for the last 20, 30 years in Austin. You all have seen them at some point, but Evening Optimist, definitely check
Yes,
those guys.
please do.
They're pretty awesome. So going back, we were talking about how your show and your music came up, your formulas or non-formulas came out organically. Going back to that, how do you pick the parks? And, you know, how do you plan out your episodes? Is that organic, or is there like a
I have a quick-
chart?
God.
Like, how
I have a really quick answer to that.
Okay.
Absolutely not. We plan nothing.
Nothing.
We
fly by the
we
seat of our
shoot from the hip every single time. Now, that being
I
said,
was going to say.
go ahead.
I was
You
gonna
probably
say-
gonna say what I was going to say.
We will start out by saying, where do you want to go? Let's go check out Government Canyon. All right. And we head in that direction. From that point on, I guarantee you we're not going to Government Canyon.
There's some funny history about that. A little bit of trivia. We weren't originally going to be called State Parkers.
Nope.
We were originally going to be called Late Arrivals because we always get off work on Sunday evening. We jump in the car and we head 2 or 3 hours in some destination, and we get there in the dark. On occasion, we get to a place, also to our downfall, and sometimes we don't research the places before we get there, so we don't always know if there's a gate. So we've ended up getting to a park at 2 o'clock in the morning and realized that it's locked up.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so what we end
yeah.
up doing is we pull the car off to the side of the road right by the gate. We'll lay out a tarp, we'll throw out our bed pads, and we'll just sleep until they open that gate at 6 or 7 in the morning.
Yeah.
Then we'll go in and check in. But yeah, we typically just wing it.
Yeah.
And so, guys, this is what the magic is about these videos. Like, when you're seeing it, you're seeing action and things happen. So there you go. What you're seeing is not acted. This
No.
is documentary.
It's the
This is
visceral.
this is the real deal.
Sometimes we even cry.
Oh. He's filmed me crying at least 2 or 3 times I can think of.
Yeah, and that'll segue nicely into maybe if she was to ask us what our scarier moments were on the trails.
Which I think is one of her questions, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back,
So guys, out in the wild, out in the wilderness, what are some of the scariest moments that you have encountered?
You want to go first?
I think I can go first on this. Her driving? No. I'm kidding.
Obviously, you haven't ridden with me. No,
She's a pretty good Austin, LA style driver.
and
so
she
it's
usually drives because you're
I'm
running
always
the
driving.
camera.
drive.
She's
'Cause you gotta run the- someone's gotta run
99%
the
of the
camera.
time she's
I always
driving and I'm
drive.
filming and I'm also navigating too. So it's safer for everyone.
Does he
on the
do
road
more
that way.
filming or more navigating?
Actually, the Googles does all the navigating.
The Google actually does so much navigating and interrupts my filming. But back to the question, I think one of my scarier moments on the trail. There's been two, and I'll put them in no particular order. I slipped down a hill and fell down about 3 feet away from a water moccasin once and screamed like a little girl. And I'm not exactly sure what video that's in, but it's out there. It's at a Pedernales
It was at
Falls video.
Pedernales Falls. I do remember that, but the video.
But I'm going to tell you
I
right
don't
now,
remember.
the absolute scariest moment for me was when we were also at Pedernales Falls, and we had done about a 5 or 6 mile hike that day, and we got back to the truck, and I didn't have my keys.
Oh my god!
I had left,
wow.
and it was getting dark, and I had lost my keys on the trail somewhere. Now,
Oh wow!
this is when we discovered that there's a bit of a difference between how you feel safety-wise and comfort-wise in a state park versus a county park or a city park.
Yeah.
Okay.
When we got back to my truck and realized that we didn't have my keys and my truck was locked up, it just so happened that one of the park staff, one of the park host guys, was driving by on one of the little gators. And so we stopped him and said, look, this is what we're going through. We don't know where our keys are. He goes, this is against kind of company policy, but give me a minute. Let me go back and take care of some business, and I'll come back out and I will go and drive this gator along the trail and see if I can find your keys out there.
Okay.
So he did. He took off in his gator. Well, before he got back to actually do that, I walked over to the truck
Just
and just looked in the
because.
window. The doors were unlocked and my keys were sitting on the front seat.
Whoa!
Because what had happened was a
crazy.
hiker was coming through, saw some keys on the ground, picked them up, came back to the trailhead, and went doot 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 doot.
Wow!
that's
Took
there
the
it
keys, opened my door, put the keys, closed the door, and left, and saved us.
Seriously.
Wow!
The problem, the biggest
Seriously.
problem was we had a time schedule. We had to be at work very quickly after that, so we were a little bit worried, and that scared me a little bit because I thought, why do we have to get stranded out here? You know.
What? And so there's and we'll get back to you, Melody.
Sure.
Sorry. There is a camaraderie then you
There
feel
is
with
a
your community.
common
Yeah.
bond with the community.
We've gotten same park now, and I'm not just saying this about this park. It just happens to be that it's always been in this park. We've gotten a flat tire. Our engine was overheating. Like all these things have happened to us, specifically in Pedernales, and every time we've had a ranger
Or the
bring us some
superintendent.
water, or the superintendent filled our tire with air. Like we
Wow.
there's an abundance of people out there.
We got lost
who are
and we
caring
got lost
and-
out there, and then we ended up on the park road, and the staff was leaving at the end of the day,
That
and they
too.
saw us and they picked us up and drove us back to our car.
Wow.